All right, so I think I can already start. You're already seeing my screen. So again, everyone, good evening. And of course, a warm welcome to our 58 participants joining us this evening. So as always, we thank you for spending your evening with First Metro Sec. We are especially excited for this session because this marks another run of our flagship program, no, that is what we call basic education on stock trading, or in short, BEST. Our BEST session is one of the most anticipated learning events because it equips you with the fundamentals of stock trading. It is especially perfect, no, if you are just starting your investing journey. So checking on the participants list, I am actually seeing some familiar names. Meron ding names who attended the previous session with our partner, Ernest. So again, thank you so much for consistently joining the events of First Metro Sec. So again, I hope you are all having a pleasant evening and of course are ready for another insightful and practical discussion. But before we dive in, let me just quickly introduce to you our first Metro Securities team who will be joining with you this evening. So you have me. My name is Joanna Blanca Ramos, a Business Development Associate here at First Metro Sec, and I am assigned here in Davao City. And I will be one of the speakers for this evening session. Supporting us behind the scenes is Tim from our digital channels and marketing team, who will be providing technical support all throughout the webinar. And of course, we are joined by our guest speaker. She is someone with the expertise and experience to guide us in understanding the stock screen report that is readily available sa First Metro Securities platform. And I will be introducing her formally in the second part of our session. But before we dive in, let me just pause for a few seconds for our standard disclaimer. All right, so ayan, we are already 73 in the room, no? So it shows that many of you are really interested in this session. Now, this webinar is actually open to the public because we want to take this opportunity to reach even more people, especially in our shared mission of spreading financial literacy. So some of you may be joining us for the very first time tonight. So we'd love for you to get to know us a little better and understand how we can support you in your investing journey. So again, let me introduce our company. We are First Metro Sec, the licensed stock brokerage arm of the Metro Bank Group. And at the heart of what we do are our core values: integrity, teamwork, and passion. Our vision is to become the largest and most trusted investment solutions partner in the Philippines. And our mission is to empower individuals and institutions just like you to attain your financial goals. So since our establishment in 1994, First Metro Sec has been a trusted provider of equity brokering services and investment solutions, servicing not only individuals but also public and private corporations as well as other financial institutions. So for over 20 years, we have been committed to helping Filipinos grow and manage their wealth through accessible and of course, reliable investment opportunities. And as a part of living out our company's mission and vision, the Business Development and Market Education team, so us, the ones you see sa mga webinars hosting po, we regularly conduct financial literacy sessions, both on-site and kahit na hybrid, to help empower more Filipinos to make more informed investment decisions. So to better equip you with the right knowledge, we've designed the basic education on stock trading. So ito yung best. This program gives you a strong foundation in stock trading, guiding you every step of the way. So again, it's a 3-part series where we break down yung mga essentials from the basic fundamentals all the way to introduction ng technical analysis. What makes it even valuable is that we've collaborated with our very own equity research team. So these are the experts behind the research tools you see on our platform. So together with their insights, you will learn how to make well-informed investment decisions and, of course, for you to maximize the potential of your investments. And I have here a demographics of stock market investors in the Philippines, and this is as of 2023. So out of the population of over 100 million Filipinos, there are only about 1.9 stock market accounts. And most of this, around 1.52 million, these are online accounts. And when we look deeper at these investors, about 75% are locally employed. There's also growing interest from OFWs, no? And kahit yung mga students. And geographically, the majority are in Metro Manila at 68.2%, while the rest of the country is still catching up. And here in Mindanao, kung saan ako located, we only represent 5.5%. And just to note, these figures are based on a data noong 2023. So we are hopeful that the numbers have grown significantly since then. Kaya nga we are here to promote financial literacy. So we are already 91 in the room, no? So I just want to get a feel or check the presence of our attendees. So I'd like to hear from everyone if you can share your thoughts in our chat box. Who among you here already have an account, whether sa kahit sang brokers, no? So sino dito ang may account now with a brokerage or kahit siguro sabihin natin any kind of investment account? So everyone, can you please share your thoughts sa ating chat box if ever meron na kayong account with us? Kasi ako, even before I started with First Metro Sec, even if hindi pa ako part ng company, I already have an account with them. So we actually have responses here. They have an account with us. One, meron din, and he is using, yan. Actually, majority of you here no already have an account with First Metro Sec. Meron naman dito with First Metro Sec and of course, our partner broker din or ibang brokers. So again, thank you so much everyone, no? We are 92 in the room and I've received a lot of responses. So again, whether you are a seasoned investor, yung matagal na nag-i-invest, or kahit na beginner pa lang, I hope you'll pick up something valuable from our discussion this evening. Right. So let's have a quick recap. So I hope you've joined the session no, about Stock Market 101. It was conducted by my colleague Tara. He shared in that session the two ways on how can we earn from stock market investing. So there are actually two ways how to make money when investing in stocks. So maybe some of you can share as well kung ano yung two ways na yun, no? Two ways on how to make money when investing in stocks. Majority actually here prefer the second one kasi they considered it as passive income. All right. So the first way to make money when investing in stocks is what we call price appreciation. So price appreciation is when investors buy stocks of companies because of their potential growth. Hence yung famous saying natin na buy low, sell high. So stock prices move because of the interplay between the supply and demand in the market. So this is actually the basic principle behind price appreciation. So when stockholders choose to hold onto their stocks while there's strong demand from the buyers, the prices naturally go up because supply is limited. On the other hand naman, if more shareholders are selling but there aren't enough buyers, so prices go down because the supply is greater than the demand. So again, yun yung basic principle behind the price appreciation. Now, the second way to earn money when investing in stocks is through dividends. So actually, madaming gusto, no? They just want to receive dividends because passive income siya. So dividends, they are simply a stockholder's share of the company's profit. So when a company earns, its board of directors decide how much will be first reinvested back into the business, and second, how much will be distributed to shareholders as dividends. So some companies even have dividend policy which sets the percentage of income to be given out regularly. So when we say regularly, minsan Meron semi-annually, meron din namang quarterly. So for investors, especially in stable companies, dividends can serve as a steady source of income on top of yung first way, which is yung price appreciation. So passive income na din siya for others. Now, I have an example here. So we have here two companies, company ABC and company XYZ. So these companies, they are in the same industry. So meaning they offer the similar products and services. They are also close competitors and both are listed sa stock market. Now, here is the question. If company ABC has a market price of around 300 pesos per share, and while company XYZ is trading at just 6 pesos per share, sino kaya sa tingin ninyo ang stock na merong cheaper price? So again, based on these prices alone, which stock do you think is cheaper? Is it company ABC or company XYZ? So again, can you share your thoughts in our chat box? Since you have the information, actually, this will give an idea kung ano yung discussions natin later on. All right? So, parang walang sumasagot sa ating chat box. We are already 103 in the room, no? So again, sige, ako na lang yung sasagot. Based on these prices alone, the stock do you think is, siguro iba dito nag-iisip, 6 pesos. Okay? But actually, this is a very common misconception among beginners, thinking that a lower price automatically means the stock is cheaper. But with more experience in the stock market, if matagal ka na sa stock market investing, you will realize that the market price is just a price. There's always more information behind it. So yung key takeaway lang natin dito, a lower stock price doesn't actually always mean it's cheaper or undervalued. So again, just like what I said, this sets the stage, no, for what we're going to explore together this evening. Okay, so again, we will be covering these topics tonight. First, how do we know if a stock is cheap or expensive? So as we try to compute for that specific value, we will encounter an important concept, what we call earnings. Second, we will understand the role of earnings and how they influence the price action of stocks. And finally, Kirsten from our Equity Research Division department will walk us through how we can best interpret the stock screen research report available on our platform. So if you have questions along the way, I suggest you maximize our Q&A panel on Zoom. No? We will address them later during the live Q&A session. And also as we go through this session, the goal actually is not just to present this information, but also to create an interactive learning space. So kanina, many of you share their thoughts kung sino na yung may stock investment. So I encourage you also to continue participating, take notes, and engage in our discussion. So we will be having some computations then along the way. So kindly prepare your notes, even calculators, no, kahit cellphone pwede na din, because we will be having computation for us to have a collaborative learning experience. So again, everyone, if you are all set, can you please type ready sa ating chat box? Ayan, okay. So I'm seeing responses then from our familiar attendees na. Okay, so let's begin. All right, so ayan, medyo nag-loading na. Okay, yeah. The main question we want to answer in this webinar is to understand or to know, is a stock cheap or expensive? So from the earlier scenario I showed kanina, we've seen that we can't just look at the price tag to decide. This is where the concept of multiple comes in. So ano nga ba yung multiple? A multiple tells us how much we're paying for a stock relative to its underlying fundamentals or value. There are actually different of multiples in investing, but in this session, we will only focus on one, which is yung price to earnings ratio or the PE ratio. Now, this is the most widely used and easiest multiple to understand. Now, for better appreciation of multiples, let's imagine this scenario. So this is actually relatable no sa mga mahilig mamalengke or pumunta sa supermarket. Okay. So if you are looking for a meat product, so you have their options, chicken, pork, or beef. So you see the chicken, the price tag is 270 pesos. Yung pork, the price tag is 300 pesos. And then we have their beef, yung price tag is 180 pesos. So if I may ask you, from the information you see, which meat do you think is the cheapest? Sige nga. Ayan. So some of you already answered chicken. Okay. Meron din nagsabi ng beef. Okay. So, ayun. So, some of you actually learned no, from the previous question. And lalo na you get curious, you ask for a deeper question. So, the next question would be kung ano yung weight nila or yung kilo. So, now you see that the chicken is 2 kilos. Yung pork natin is 1 kilo. And then the beef is half a kilo. So, now if I were to ask you again, how much are they or how much is their weight per kilo now, since you have the information na. So let's do some computation. For your chicken, it is 270 pesos divided by 2 kilos. So that's 135 per kilo. For your pork naman, it is 300 pesos divided by 1 kilo. So that's 300 pesos per kilo. For your beef, it is 180 pesos for half a kilo. So that's 360 pesos per kilo. So now you have this information. Can you identify now which meat is the cheapest? Ayan. So meron na sabi chicken. So baka typo lang. So some of you answered chicken because it is 135 per kilo. So I think you are getting the context of the first multiple. So the correct answer actually is chicken. It is the cheapest because it is only 135 per kilo. And it turns out yung beef natin is actually the most expensive because it is at 360 pesos per kilo. So from this simple exercise, I hope you appreciated the concept of multiple. It is also one way of checking that you are getting the most of your money because we are getting more meat for a lesser amount, especially for the chicken. All right. So the first multiple we're going to discuss is yung EPS or earnings per share. EPS measures a company's profitability on a per-share basis. It is calculated by taking the company's net income and dividing it by the number of outstanding shares. So again, yung formula is EPS equals net income divided by outstanding shares. So in simple terms, yung EPS, it tells us how much the company earns for every share of a stock that exists. And in general, the higher the EPS, the more profitable the company appears to be. That's why companies with higher EPS are often considered stronger than those with lower EPS. But here's also an important reminder. EPS is not an absolute measure of profitability. It should always be used together with other financial metrics and indicators to get the full picture of a company's performance. So along the way, we will discover those reminders now. All right. So if you have an account with us, you can actually go to the website. You can go to the research tab and then go to the company you are interested in. You will see a lot of multiples from there. So you have here price to earnings ratio. You have the dividend yield. You also have price to book, price to sales. And these are all the multiples. But again, this evening, we will only focus on the earnings per share and price to earnings ratio. And also, if you want to check a company's earnings per share, you can go to your First MetroSec account, click on company, and indicate the stock code or the company you want to search. Now, since we have this formula, EPS equals net income divided by outstanding shares, how do we get this data? So first, from the financials tab of the company, you can see the net income in the past 5 years. So again, research, company, you go to financials. Doon ninyo makikita ang net income. Next, where do you find your outstanding shares? You can find it in the valuation tab. and they are expressed in millions. So let's have an activity, no? We will try to calculate SM's 2021 earnings per share. So based on the information you see, yung ating financials, so again, you have there 40.41 billion, yun yung 2021 na earnings or the net income. Let's divide it by the outstanding shares. That is 1.2458 billion. So we can now calculate for the EPS. So maybe some of you here can guess, no? Or do some calculations. Again, if meron na kayong calculator, the formula is net income divided by outstanding shares. Okay. So if ever some of you calculated, ayan. So I actually did some calculation. So let's share the first answer. Ayan. Okay. So we get the earnings per share. That is 33.55. Okay. Ayan. Okay, so now I hope no the attendees will answer the next question. Let us try to calculate naman SN's 2022 EPS. So again, you have the formula, net income divided by outstanding shares. So let's check na sa fundamentals. Yung kanilang net income for 2022 is 61.65 billion. Yung kanilang outstanding shares of the same year is 1.22202 billion. So again, I'd like you to calculate yung SN's 2022 EPS. So if any of you can provide the answer. Ayan. So wala ata tayong attendees this evening or baka wala kayong calculator. Okay. So actually the answer for this, ayun, merong nag-share. The answer is 51.28. So I guess baka medyo nahirapan lang no sa pagtingin doon sa ating screen. Okay, so 50.45, all right? So actually the answer is 50.45. So the earnings per share of SM sa 2022 is 50.45. Next, another chance no, to those na hindi nakasagot. How about calculating SM's 2023 EPS naman? So based on the information, yung kanilang net income is 76.99 billion and their outstanding shares is 1.222.02 billion. So again, using the formula, what do you think is the earnings per share of SM no 2023? All right, so some of you, ayan. So actually you got it right, no? It's 63 pesos. All right, so I hope you understand, no, or understood how to compute yung ating EPS based on the information or the formula provided. Now, if you did some research, no, you might actually encounter companies with a negative earnings per share. So this usually happens when a company's net income is negative, meaning its losses are bigger than its profits. So since EPS is calculated by dividing net income by the number of outstanding shares, a negative net income results in a negative EPS as well. So this is often called loss per share or negative earnings. And it shows that the company didn't generate enough profit to cover its expenses. And then for seasoned investors, they usually take it as a caution signal because it points to financial challenges. But there are also may important part din, no? We also have to check the context. So for example, those startup companies, they may show negative EPS because they are pouring money into research, marketing, and expansion since kakastart lang nung company nila. So they are willing to take losses now with the expectation of making profits later. So this usually results to negative EPS. On the other hand naman, if a mature company with stable operations shows negative EPS, it could be a bigger concern. So negative EPS doesn't always mean bad, but as investors, we also have to understand the story behind the numbers. So we also have to do our research, no? Now, for you to gain a better insight about the earnings per share and the EPS, no, I have here some simple scenarios. So let's assume the number of outstanding shares stays the same. So if the net income increases, what do you think happens to EPS? Again, if you think, or we assume, no, that the outstanding shares are constant, and then if the net income increases, what do you think is the result of the EPS, considering yung ating numerator and the denominator? Okay, so ayan, so let me show na lang what's gonna happen. Okay, so if the net income increases, EPS also increases. So in other words, more profits lead to higher EPS. And on the other hand, if net income decreases, EPS goes down as well. So this means less profits usually results then to lower EPS. Now, to make it easier, let's picture a pizza. Okay, the whole pizza, it represents the company's net income. And a slice of pizza is your EPS. So if the company earns more, the pizza gets bigger. So your slice also gets bigger. But if the company earns less, so the pizza shrinks and then your slice gets smaller too. So that's how relative it is. If the net income increases, EPS also increases. If the net income decreases, your EPS goes down as well. Now, another scenario we have is assuming net income is constant. So actually, I have two scenarios again. If the number of outstanding shares increases, EPS goes down. This usually happens when a company issues more shares through stock rights offering or follow-on offerings. So since the profits are now divided among shares, it can be dilutive, meaning each share gets a smaller portion of the earnings. So just like the pizza analogy, no, if you invite more friends to share the pizza, so your slice gets smaller. So yung pizza, yun pa din yung inyong company. And then your slice, that is your EPS. On the other hand naman, if the number of outstanding shares decreases, your EPS goes up. So this happens when a company buys back its own shares. So with fewer shares dividing the same profits, each shareholder gets a bigger slice of the earnings. So back to the pizza analogy, if fewer people at the table shares the same pizza, your slice gets bigger. So I hope you understand, no, the relationship between net income, outstanding shares, and EPS. Now, further, to check our understanding pa din, let's compare two companies and see which one is more profitable for investors. So we have here company ABC. Its outstanding shares is 300 million. Yung net income naman niya is 4 billion. So can you help me calculate yung kanyang EPS? So again, EPS is net income divided by outstanding shares. Okay. So, ayun. So may ayan. So, one answered 13.33. All right. So actually, the answer is 13.33. Now, we have here company XYZ. Its outstanding shares is 6 billion and its net income is 48 billion. So how about this one? What do you think yung EPS niya? So again, the computation is net income divided by outstanding shares. All right, so you have there 8. So majority of you answered 8 then. So again, looking at both EPS, can you compare 13.33 versus 8 pesos, no? Which company do you think is more profitable for investors? So based on the information and the numbers, ano sa tingin ninyo ang company na more profitable for the investors based on a per share basis? Okay? So basically, kung ano yung malaki ang value, yun yung ang profitable. So company ABC is more profitable on a per share basis, even if company XYZ has the higher total income. All right. So hope you learned now how to calculate earnings per share. Let's take it a step further and see naman how earnings actually affect share price movements. So I have here some examples of company who have significant changes in price actions in the past year. So this will help us better understand yung price action and the price movements. So onto the first company. So we have here the price chart of Robinsons Retail Holdings from 2016 to 2020. So in 2016, RRHI earmarked 5 billion pesos to expand the business. So they plan to put up 200 new stores, which are mostly convenience stores and supermarkets. And they also acquired 51% of the generics pharmacy, since they also acquired yung South Star Drug in 2012. So this strengthened the retail drugstore network in the Philippines. With these positive developments, buyers are now interested to add RRHI in their portfolio, which resulted in reaching RRHI's all-time high price at around 100 pesos. So from 60 pesos, naging 100 pesos siya. However, the company reported a negative net income quarter 17 because of low household consumption. So, of course, this was bad news for existing shareholders. So many lightened their positions. Furthermore, it reported pa a lower earnings during the first quarter of 2019 after it consolidated with Restans. Now, from the all-time high na 100 pesos to around 70 pesos. And then COVID happened. So there was a massive sell across majority of the stocks, no? And isa dun sa affected is yung, of course, RRHI. So at that time, RRHI is currently trading around 65 pesos na lang. So in spite of the negative sentiment and yung enhanced na community quarantine protocols, RRHI, supermarket, drugstore, convenience store, and kahit yung mga DIY hardware segments, they remain operational. So during that time, our research team notes that these segments accounted for 78.1% of RRHI's revenues in 2019. So I have here another price chart of JFC from 2018 to 2020 pa din. So over the course of 2018, JFC dominated yung international market, no? So they opened international stores in Italy, UK, and US. So investors dominantly bought it at around 240 pesos and roughly made some profits. They sold it at around or roughly 300 pesos. It then advanced to an all-time high of 325 pesos, but met selling pressure because the acquisition of Smashburger decreased JFC's margin. Sellers lightened their position, which consequently dragged the stock price back to 280 pesos. And Jollibee again acquired Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. It declined further to 220 pesos. So sellers thought that JFC was putting too much on its plate since CBTL is still in the red and they have yet to turn around yung acquisition with this Smashburger. So JFC also had to close down its branches in China because of COVID. So the investor confidence decreased and this resulted to JFC's weak earnings. So again, consumer demand for Jollibee is expected to slow down because of COVID since they have to close down some of their stores to help contain the spread of the coronavirus. And at that time, from its all-time high na 325 pesos, JFC was only trading at around 196 pesos. Now, let's take a look at JFC or yung Jollibee Foods Corporation, no, and see how earnings affect its price action. So again, if you noticed, back in 2018 and 2019, JFC posted solid net profits. Kaya naturally, the stock price moved upward. So there's demand. But in 2019, when earnings started to decline, we also saw the beginning of its correction. So then came 2020 and the pandemic. So JFC reported a negative net income of 11.5 billion, which pushed the stock price even lower. Fortunately, in 2021 naman, they bounced back into the green with a positive net income. And since then, we've seen its price slowly recovering. So from this example, we can clearly see the time that when JFC reported a negative income and back to a positive earning, no, we can clearly see how earnings directly influence price action. So it can, the profits can actually fuel growth, while losses can actually weigh heavily on stock price. So I hope you are still in the discussion and getting you are able to understand the relationship of price action and price movements. Now, let's dig deeper naman sa EPS. Because hindi lang natin dapat titingnan ang earnings per share for a single year. It's also important na makita natin yung nag-grow sila consistently over time. So consistent earnings growth is actually a strong sign of good management and of course solid business development. Kasi it only means that they are continuously finding ways to grow the business. So aside from looking at EPS, we should also look at its compounded annual growth rate or CAGR. So in other words, hindi lang sapat na profitable ang isang company. It's even better if that profitability is growing steadily because this is usually the cause or the reason that pushes the stock price higher. So that's why companies with consistent or growing EPS are often perceived as financially healthy and more attractive to investors. Now, since we've checked the company's profitability, the next step is to compare naman its current share price to see if the stock price is trading cheap or expensive. This is where price to earnings ratio comes in. So by definition, price to earnings ratio, it is a valuation ratio that compares a company's current share price to its earnings per share. So medyo technical lang siya pakinggan. But to help you understand, no, let's simplify. The PE ratio basically tells us how much investors are willing to pay today for every peso of the company's earnings. So that's why we often call it price to earnings multiple. In general, a lower PE ratio means that the stock is relatively cheaper, while a higher PE ratio suggests it's more expensive compared to its peers. And now let's try to flesh out naman the PE ratio by starting with the share price. So how do you actually know the share price of a stock? So if ever you watch the news and then you check the price movements, no, you go to your favorite business news channel or even yung account ninyo with First Metro Sec, you'll see often what we call yung ticker tape. Now, yung ticker tape is ito yung gumagalaw na in colors of red, yellow, and green. So these are actually the basic 3 pieces of information you will see. The ticker tape shows real-time information about stocks that were traded. So here we have an example. You will see on the screen, you have MBT 66 and 1,360. So what does this mean? First is the stock symbol. So we have here MBT. It stands for Metropolitan Bank and Trust Company. Second is we have the price. So meaning it is the price no which the stock was traded. So in this case, 66 pesos per share. And the third is the total number of shares traded, which is 1,360. So to summarize, the ticker tells us that 1,360 shares of Metro Bank was traded at the price of 66 pesos per share. So again, this share price, which you see in real time, is what is in calculating yung ating PE ratio. Now, to check our understanding pa, I have more examples. So I hope you still respond no, sa ating chat box. So the first question, at what price did URC trade? Okay. So sige nga. So ayun, I'm seeing answers. Ayan. So the answer is 120.20 pesos. So next, how many many shares of SMPH was traded at 31.70? Ayan. Okay, so very active pa yung ating participants, no? All right, so the answer is 600 shares. And lastly, what stock traded at 2.07? Ayan. All right, so again, thank you so much for your participation. So the answer is MEG. So we are actually done identifying yung share price. So we can now calculate for the PE ratio. Okay, so this is another activity to check our understanding. So we will compare two companies again for us to identify which stock looks cheaper to buy. So we have here company ABC. ABC has an EPS of 13.33 and it's currently trading at 200 pesos. So again, can you identify yung ating PE ratio? So again, the formula no is price divided by EPS. So sana meron pa tayong calculator. Ayan. Okay, so I am seeing correct answers. So you are right, yung kanyang PE ratio is 15. So the next is we have company XYZ. Company XYZ has an EPS of 8 and it is currently trading at 160 pesos per share. So can you calculate yung ating EPS? Can you calculate yung ating PE ratio? Ayan, so ang bilis, parang hindi pa ako tapos, may sagot na. Alright, so that is 20. So looking at both PE ratios, can you identify which company is cheaper to buy? So the is actually there, kung sino lang yung cheaper. Ayan. So that is correct. The answer is company ABC. Okay. So now, I have more examples para talaga you get familiar on how to compute PE ratio. So we have here Ali. So let's check no how much yung kanyang PE or ano ang kanyang PE ratio. So it is trading at 24.50 per share and has an EPS of 1.85. So can we calculate yung kanyang PE ratio? Ayan. So the answer is, ayan, correct. So 13.24. So this means investors are currently paying about 13.24 pesos for every peso of Ayala land earnings. Next example, we have Pure Gold. So ito hindi given yung share price and earnings per share. So it is a challenge. Saan nyo ba siya makikita? Okay, so Pure Gold, yung kanyang share price is 27.50 and yung kanyang earnings per share is 3.09. You can actually see its valuation, yung trailing 12 months EPS. So the answer is, all right, correct. That is, well, actually it's 8.89. So pure ratio is 8.89. And lastly, we have here Robinsons Land Corporation. So yung kanyang share price is 13.30 and yung kanyang earnings per share is 2.74. So yung kanyang price to earnings ratio is 4.85. So meron tayong palaging first honor dito. All right, thank you for your participation. So RLC's price to earnings ratio is 4.85. So this means investors are paying only 4.85 for every peso of RLC's earnings. So it is much lower compared to Ayala na 13.24 and Pure Gold na 8.89. So from this example, you can see that RLC appears to be relatively cheaper than the other two. All right. So actually, those are the examples. But I have here two types of PE ratios that investors commonly use. So we have here trailing and forward PE. So let's discuss first yung trailing PE. This one is backward looking because it is based on the company's past earnings, usually yung last 12 months. Kita ninyo kanina na trailing 12 months. So this formula actually is price divided by EPS from the past year. So we also have here yung ating forward PE. This one is forward-looking naman because it is based on what analysts or the company expect to earn in the next 12 months. The formula is still price divided by EPS, but this time you are using yung estimated earnings. So yung key takeaway about trailing and forward PE, trailing PE is what the company earned, and yung forward PE is what the company is expected to earn. Both are important. Trailing shows us the historical performance of the company, and forward PE tells us about the market expectations and growth potentials of the company. Now, let's move on naman comparing PE ratios, both among peers and against its history. So the first one, comparing PE ratios among peers. When we say of peers, we mean companies in the same industry. So if you are looking at banks, we compare Metro Bank with DO, BPI, and Security Bank. Hindi natin siya i-compare with Jollibee or Ayala Land. Okay? Because the reason behind is because industry or each industry has different business models, risk and growth potentials. So for example, yung banks natin, they usually trade at lower PEs than fast food chains or tech companies because their growth is lower and more stable. So a low PE could also mean that the market thinks that the bank will grow slower, has weaker profitability, and carries more risk. So the real value actually comes from comparing within the group. So if most banks are trading at around 15 times earnings, but yung isang bank is trading at only 7. So this might be worth taking a closer look, no? So you can identify from there if it is undervalued or may problema ba na nakikita yung mga investors. So basically, yung key takeaway lang, PE ratios only make sense when you put them in context. So this is where you compare a company with its peers in the same industry to get a fairer picture of whether it is cheap, expensive, or just right. Now, comparing PE naman based on historical. So if yung kanina, we compared PE, we compared companies, no, from its peers. So this time, it's like checking the prices nung sabihin nating burgers across Jollibee, McDo, and Burger King. So comparing with history is like checking the same, sabihin nating Jollibee, checking the same Jollibee burgers price last year versus today. So historical PE only means looking at how a company has been valued in the past. So for example, if yung company natin trades usually at trades usually at 15 times earnings, but today nasa 10 lang siya. So the market may be or might be undervaluing it. On the other hand, if it usually trades at 10 times but now at 20 times, then it looks more expensive than its usual level unless yung earnings are expected to grow fast. So again, yung key takeaway natin, by comparing today's price to earnings ratio to the company's own history, you can see if the stock is cheaper or pricier than the usual. So again, recap lang, when we compare peers, no, based on, if we compare peers comparison, we check if the company is cheap or expensive compared to competitors. If historical comparison naman, we check if it is cheap or expensive compared to itself in the past. So both perspectives are actually helpful, no, in making investment decisions because comparing among peers and history helps you see whether a stock is expensive or cheap in context. Now, another discussion we have is what we call a value trap. Now, a lot of new investors think that, uy, mababa ang kanyang PE ratio, so it must be cheap. So, bibili ako. But actually, it is a warning. No, just because a stock looks cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal. So, to understand this, let's go back quickly doon sa PE ratio. The formula of PE ratio is simply price of the stock divided by earnings per share. So in short, it tells us how much investors are willing to pay for every peso the company earns. So the trap actually sometimes, no, if a stock has low PE, not because it's undervalued, but because something is wrong with the company. So that's what we call a value trap. So let me just give you examples now of why a company can fall into this trap. So let's just understand. Mababa ang PE niya because of declining profits. So maybe their earnings are going down every year. Mababa ang kaniyang PE because of poor management. So baka may bad leadership decisions that is actually hurting the business. Meron ding industry disruption. So the company's business model is becoming outdated. High debt. So too much utang, making it hard to grow. So actually, the lesson is simple. A low PE ratio should never be the end of your research. It should be the beginning. So you always ask yourself, no, is it really undervalued or is it cheap for a good reason? Okay, because at the end of the day, ayaw mong bumili ng stock that looks like a bargain. So you have to understand baka the business is actually declining. All right. So further, let's dive into the two sides of PE ratio. So when you see a stock with a low PE ratio, you can actually look at it two ways. First, let's consider the positive side. We call this the value interpretation. A low PE could mean that the stock is undervalued. Maybe the market just hasn't noticed it yet, who noticed it yet, no? Or its problems are temporary and earnings are expected to grow. So in this case, the low PE could be an opportunity. But on the flip side, the lack of attention and love interpretation naman, a low PE can actually mean that the market has lost confidence in the company and investors are ignoring it because they don't believe in its future. So in this case, the stock isn't cheap. It is unloved for a reason. So this is why there are danger of value trap. Yeah, that's where it comes in. Now, another is high PE ratio. Again, let's consider two sides. First, the negative, the expensive interpretation. A high PE can mean that the stock is overvalued. So meaning the price has gone up faster than earnings. So you might be paying too much for something that can't live no sa hype. But on the positive side, the high potential and expectations interpretation. So sometimes a high PE is justified because market believes in the company's future growth. Investors are actually paying a premium today because they expect profits to skyrocket tomorrow. So think of it as fast-growing tech companies, no? So investors are betting on future potentials. So again, yung key takeaway natin, whether the PE is low or high, don't stop there. You also have to check yung fundamentals. You have to ask yourself, is the revenue growing? Are the profit margins improving? Is their debt manageable? Does the company have a strong advantage over competitors? And is the management team capable and trustworthy? So because at the end of the day, yung ating PE ratio is just one piece of the puzzle. It can guide you, but it's the company's overall wealth and future prospects that can actually tell you if it's really worth investing. All right. So everyone, that wraps up my part, no? I hope I gave you a clear picture of what PE ratio and how earnings impact yung price action and stock valuation. So now let's move on to the next part of our session that is actually doon sa ating stock screen report. And I am excited to introduce our guest speaker. But before that, I'd like to give some thanks, no, to our 135 attendees. So good evening, everyone. Again, we have our guest speaker today, Ms. Kirsten Dominic Ramos from our Equity Research Department. Kirsten Dominic has graduated as a magna cum laude from Bulacan State University with a degree of Business Administration, major in Business Economics. She initially joined First Metro Securities as an equity research intern before becoming a full-time employee. So she is currently part of the retail department. So Kirsten, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. So first, let me share my screen. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Miss Joanna. And yeah, so hmm, akala ko. Yeah, so good evening, everyone, and good morning to some of you in other parts of the world. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you so much, ulit, Miss Joanna, for letting us introduce our stock screen of from the Equity Research Division. So first, let me give a quick background on the stock screen report. So the stock screen report is one of the first Metro, so it's one of First Metro Securities research report. This is tailor fit for investor who base their investment decision on select financial metrics of stock in the Philippine Stock Exchange or stocks listed on the PSE. And as the name suggests, it is a screener of stocks that automatically filters the companies and select the outperforming ones based on each metric or criteria. So this stock screen is designed to show off the three models portfolio to suit investment style. So these are the riding the flows, unloved, and yield seeker. So how do we filter the companies in our stock screen report? So for today, our discussion will be focusing on more on the riding the flows and unloved model portfolios. But first, let me try to give you a background on how we filter the companies based on the methodologies that we use. So So in general, we maintain a stock screen universe which are selected from all securities that are included in the MSCI Investable Market Index or MSCI IMI, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index or the PSEI, and the PSE Mid Cap Index, and lastly, the PSE Dividend Yield Index. So these investability filters used to determine inclusion in each of the screens we run on a monthly basis. And the equity universe of date is set on the last trading day of the month. So for our August report, it is based on July 31, the last trading day of last month. And also the data that we use are retrieved through our subscription to reputable data sources. So all the figures that you see in our reports came from the third party data except for the target prices for the stocks that we cover. So we want to emphasize that the data comes from third party data provider, which is then filtered only through our screener. So as mentioned, there are different model portfolios that we consider in the stock screen. So for part one of the best series, I will be focusing discussion on the first and second model portfolios, which are uh, riding the flows and unloved. So first, in terms of inclusion criteria for riding the flows, these are uh, the volume of or liquidity. So the volume or liquidity should be at least 50 million average daily value turnover or what we call ADVA in the past 3 months. And the next criteria would be foreign momentum. So the stock should have foreign interest which can be measured through foreign buying or inflow. And lastly, the last criteria is earnings growth forecast. So we measure this through EPS or earnings per share, which Miss Joanna was able to, I think, well, we can all agree that Miss Joanna comprehensively discussed earlier. So essentially, the stocks that would enter riding the flows are highly traded growth stocks with high EPS growth liquidity and foreign momentum. Uh, in terms of these steps on how we do filter the stock, so we have actually we have actually three steps. These are very simple steps. So step one, we screen we screen our stock universe for the counters with more than 50 million peso in average daily turnover, or again ADVA, in the past 3 months. So what we used in our last report was, I think, May, June, and July for our August stock screen. Uh, then after we filter those counters, we are then ranked in terms of the largest to smallest based on uh, next criteria would be foreign momentum. So this stock should have foreign interest, uh, which can be measured through foreign buying or inflow. And lastly, uh, the last step, we filter the stock from step two and rank them based on the strongest consensus earnings growth forecast in the next 2 years. Given the criteria that I've mentioned early, so the stocks that actually entered in our riding the flow portfolio for the month of August were uh, first is DG Plus, next is International Container Terminal Services Inc. Third is JG Summit. Fourth is Manila Water Company. And lastly, Universal Robina Corp or URC. So for the stock that entered the screener, let me discuss the catalyst or what drove the rally during the period. But take note that our stock screen is based on cumulative data for the past 3 months. So this is how the stock performed during the period. So for DG Plus, what drove DG Plus in the last 3 months is that it announced a 6 billion share buyback program and and the main catalyst for DG Plus actually is its inclusion in the PSE index. So on the update on that is, as of yesterday, the DG Plus has already entered the PSE index. Next is ICT. Uh, ICT has increased its stake in a property in Brazil by acquiring 47% stake in a property in Brazil, raising ICT's total ownership to 73%. So that's what drove ICT in the past 3 months. Then third is JGS. So what drove JGS is it actually tracks the positive performance of its subsidiaries, namely Cebu Pacific, Robinsons Land Corp, uh, RL Commercial REITs, and URC. Then for Manila Water, what the catalyst for Manila Water is it announced a 38 billion uh, share buyback share purchase agreement for the acquisition of Wawa JVCO Inc. And there's a recent update on that. Based on their recent analyst briefing, they said that the acquisition has been finalized, and the target completion for it is on September 2025. Then lastly, for URC, URC has established a research and development in Malaysia as part of its effort to expand in Southeast Asia. And also their core net income for the first quarter of 2025 was announced in May, and it increased by 4% year on year. But the main driver for URC is the recovery of coffee prices. with Robusta and Arabica trending lower in May and June of 2025. So recall that you can recall that URC's 1Q25 results are actually dragged by higher coffee prices on their net income. So the coffee prices, the high coffee prices in the first quarter was actually a tailwind for URC. So those are the catalysts for the recent RTF lineup, which again is DigiPlus, ICT, JGS, MWC, and URC. Then moving on to our next screener, which is the unloved screener. We also base it on price to earning or PE ratio, like just like in riding the flow. So uh, So for this screener, we also look at PE and EPS. And in particular, we take a look at companies with high EPS growth, meaning uh, these are the fast-growing stock with low PE, but the market is actually undervaluing them. So stock that would enter this screen are those with high EPS growth but with cheap valuation in terms of PE, price to book, and EV/EBITDA. Also, to explain our methodology for the unloved, just like in riding the flows, we follow the steps in generating which stocks are being undervalued by the market. So for step one, we begin by screening our stock universe for counters with the highest ADVA in the past 3 months, just like our first step in RTF or riding the flow screener, capturing those stocks with volume. And then second, from that initial list, the top 40 stocks are ranked on an equal weight basis considering the strongest consensus growth outlook uh, mes- measured by a forward uh, return on equity or ROE and a positive earnings per share. And lastly, compound annual growth rate or what we call CAGR. And third, we filter the top 25 names uh, from this step two, and we rank them based on the lowest net foreign buying or the highest net foreign selling activity over the past 3 months. So it's actually the opposite of RTF for this one. For unloved, we choose those stocks that are sold off by the market for the past 3 months. And then for step four, finally, the top 20 counters from step three are screened in terms of cheapest valuation using forward price to earnings, price to book, and EV/EBITDA. Again, by applying an equal weight methodology. So for July, these stocks that entered the unloved screeners are LTG, Apex, PLDT, BDO, and Pure Gold. Pure Gold. So on a per stock basis, the following events are what brought the decline to the following counters. And so let's break down the factors behind these stock declines. So for LTG, the overall trend is actually bullish, but it's slightly pulled back, especially after the uh, dividend payment. Then for Apex, just like other gold play stocks, Apex was affected by the Citigroup Inc. or CT that adjusted their gold price targets downward as they anticipate gold prices could fall below 3,000 US dollar per ounce by I think late 2025 to early 2026 due to reduced investment demand and improved global growth outlook, especially on geopolitics. Then third for PLDT. Uh, PLDT, just like other telecommunication operators, so PLDT is actually affected and still being affected by the Konektadong Pinoy Bill, which aims to promote universal access to affordable and quality data transmission services according to the government. But uh, this actually means for PLDT that the market could actually be easy to penetrate. So, Konektadong Pinoy Bill is actually a considered headwinds to majority of telecommunications operators. Then for uh, then for BDO, during the period, BDO announced a 3% year-on-year growth in first half of 2025 for its net income, but it actually fell below the consensus estimates, uh, mainly due to their higher than expected operating costs, which actually dampen investor sentiment. Then, uh, lastly, for Pure Gold, so we all know that Pure Gold has actually reached its 52-week high recently in the past 3 months. So, the key catalysts for its increase are uh, the midterm elections, easing inflations, and actually an increase in demand in consumer demands. So, so after that, after the Pure Gold rally, it's actually pulled back, causing it to be included in the unloved filters. I mean, unloved filter. Yeah, so that wraps up my presentation for the stock screen. Again, thank you, Miss Joanna, for letting us introduce the stock screen. Now I'm turning back the floor to Miss Joanna.
All right. So thank you, Kirsten, no, for explaining to us kung ano yung stock screen, basically yung under the unloved and riding the flows. So for just a moment, let me just, I think di pa nagpapakita yung aking screen. Okay, so I think can, ayan. So I think you are still sharing your screen. Kirsten, ayun. All right, thank you so much. So to everyone, going back to our presentation, no, let me just do a recap of what we basically discussed this evening. So in summary, I hope we learned all of these things together, no? We learned actually how earnings releases and future expectations can drive price action. We also did check how a company's profitability through its earnings per share or EPS, and also how to compute yung PE ratio to help assess us whether a stock is expensive or cheap. And finally, how to maximize the stock screen report, looking at both yung ating riding the flows and unloved. All right. So before we officially wrap up the session, I'd like to share our feedback form. So to the attendees that is still in the room, so I hope you share your ideas and your thoughts with us, especially on the topics you'd like us to cover in the future, no? And also on ways how we can make your learning experience even better. So again, everyone, just scan the QR code and check our chat box since Tim shared the link for the QR and for the feedback form. So again, we'd love to hear your thoughts. All right. So I think that ends our webinar. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. We actually extended, no? So usually yung session natin nasa 1 hour. But I am thankful to those people that is still with us this evening. So a big thank you to you and of course to our guest speaker, Kirsten, for sharing your insights, especially on sharing yung ating stock screen report. So to everyone that is still in the room, hope you found this session more informative and valuable, especially in guiding you in your investment decisions. And also, we want to see you on our next session. So stay tuned for more learning opportunities from First Metro Sec. And remember, we are happy to support you every step of the way on your investing journey because here at First Metro Securities, we always put your future first. So again, thank you so much for making the time to be with us. Just wait for the video to be available sa YouTube channel. And of course, we look forward to seeing you again here on First Metro Sec. So again, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you, Tim. And of course, happy investing. Thank you, everyone.